So keep on going with your silly dream by Piter on AO3. This fic sometimes includes mentions of suicidal thoughts. That is your warning. Chapter 58. Help! Local vigilante paralyzed and kidnapped! Summary. Izuku is nabbed and does this count as torture? Why can't he move? He blinked, desperately attempting to do something. Anything. Nothing. Not even a twitch. The teen glanced around, the dark sidewalk swaying beneath him. He could easily break away from the woman's hold, if he could just move. At least he had confirmed that the woman with the buzz cut did indeed have a snake quirk or of some sort. His evidence? She bit him, and here he was, paralyzed, thrown over her shoulder like some rag doll.
Quirkless people see what exactly the bullets would need to, change to remove a quirk permanently.
Maybe it was just the mild head injury and venom coursing through him, but this lady was speaking nonsense. A bullet with the ability to remove a quirk? That was impossible, right? He had been waiting, strapped down to the same uncomfortable metal chair in the dark for way too long. Leather straps with metal buckles held down his arms, legs, chest, and even his damn head. A little excessive, if you ask him, considering Izuku couldn't do more than twitch his fingers even now. From what he could tell, he still had everything he's brought with him. He could feel the bat resting at his side, the weight of his knife resting on his stomach, how his mask and goggles clung to his face. Even his hood hadn't been removed. A crack rang through the room. Izuku couldn't move his head to see who it is. His heart hammered as a man loomed over him. He had short, dark brown hair and yellow eyes. The man wore a mask, red and yellow, the shape almost reminiscent of a beak. His green coat had a fuzzy purple neckline, which, a little tacky. His eyes held no warmth. "And we're sure he's quirkless?" the man said, glancing over at someone just out of view. "Aside from never having documented usage of his quirk, I checked the shoe brand. It's specifically made for people with the extra joints." They answered from the side. A few clicks ring out. "He's still completely immobilized due to Nakio's venom. If you want to start immediately." Not yet. I'll need to wait until everything exits his system for accurate results." Suddenly, Izuku was back in the dark, alone once again. Results? What the hell did they want with him? It hurt. God, it hurt. No matter how he struggled, how his back arched, screamed until his voice was hoarse, and he fought against the restraints. He couldn't escape. Couldn't. The prying hands, the cool metal digging into his flesh without even removing his damn hoodie. The feeling of being torn apart and put together again. The first day was uneventful. A voice sighed as Izuku was carelessly tossed into a room. Hopefully tomorrow will yield results. If not, we'll simply continue testing. The vigilante didn't even attempt to pry his eyes open, shivering against the freezing tile, only slightly warmed by blood. They had ripped into him, and he felt every single thing. Yet, as soon as he thought it was over for him, he was good as new. It had only been a day. One single day. How had it only been a day? He winced, shuddering at the pain ripping through his body. They healed and reset what was life-threatening, but left the smaller gashes. It hurt. He hurt. He wanted out. God, he just wanted to get out. That is the end of chapter 58. On to the next chapter. Chapter 59. I just want to have McDonald's with this kid I found. Is that too much to ask for? Summary. Izuku and Eri want McDonald's. So Izuku is going to get the McDonald's. Also, he shot Overhaul. Baddie alert. Day 5.
Apples are really sweet. Sweeter than the mush down here. I think you'd like 'em.
Izuku muttered, blinking dazedly at the tiles above. Compared to the mess of blood around him, it was almost funny. Had they ever gotten the ceiling dirty? If so, how? Had Overhaul got pissed and blown some guy up? Had there ever been guys in this chair before Izuku?
Eri? Are you there, Eri? Mm-hmm. That's good. When we get out, I'll get you something great. Something even better than an apple. What's better than an apple, Mr. Yahoo? A spicy McCrispy. A happy meal for you, I guess.
Day 10. You know, it's a good thing we didn't kill you. Back in that alley all those months ago, Overhaul said, thoughtfully, making eye contact as he was wrist deep in Izuku's stomach. You've proven to be quite useful. It's easier to change things when I know what to change. Your anatomy will be the key. Of course, Eri's also taken a liking to you. The vigilante couldn't answer. If he opened his mouth, he didn't think he'd ever be able to shut it. When screams would pour out, screams scared Eri, made her think it was her fault Izuku was hurting. He didn't like it when Eri was scared. Instead, a choked gasp was all that he dared to let escape. It had been 10 days, and it had not gotten easier. Izuku feared it never would. Day 15.
Why do you wear a mask, Mr. Yahoo?
Eri asked one day. Izuku wished he could look at the girl. Alas, they were simply strapped in the same room, chairs facing away from one another. The vigilante shuddered slightly. God, he hated these chairs.
Well, I'm a vigilante.
His voice was raspy, a little deeper than it should have been.
Those are like heroes, but without their license. so I keep my face a secret, so they can't make me stop saving people. You save people? Yeah, I I did. I do. And I'm gonna save us, Ari, okay? We'll get out of here and go straight to McDonald's. Okay, Mr. Yahoo? Ari sniffled. God, no telling how long she'd been here before Izuku arrived. When Izuku got loose, he was going to make sure Overhaul couldn't hurt anyone else. Day 20. Why me? Izuku whispered after he was put back together for the umpteenth time that day. Apparently, whatever they were doing was tricky, and Izuku kept trying to die, as if it was his fault. Convenience. Most likely you died after the All Might fight. Some think you're avoiding the publicity of it. Either way, you were close by, and I know you're too self-sacrificing to even think about leaving without Eri. And haven't even tried to unmask me? I don't care for petty things like that. There are bigger issues. This world, these filthy quirks. I need to cleanse it. Put man back on even planes, as it always should have been. Izuku hated this guy. Not one conversation led to anything other than the man ranting about the filthiness of quirks. He chose to tune Overhaul out. He wondered if anyone had noticed his absence. Day 25. Izuku studied himself in the small bathroom mirror. His bathroom was the only room not completely stained with blood. He still had standards, after all. He was paler from when he could see under the tears covering his blood-crusted hoodie. No amount of stitching could fix this. He'd have to trash it when he escaped. He felt a pang in his heart at the thought. Maybe he'd stash it, not trash it. He hadn't left his mask since he got it here, nor his goggles. Other than the use to sink the splash water onto his face, because, of course, Izuku didn't get a damn shower. It was odd, considering how germophobic the boss was. The teen had made the executive decision to avoid looking at himself for his own remaining bits of sanity. He let himself sit on the lid of the toilet, hands moved to beneath his hood, to card a hand through his hair. He couldn't keep doing this. He had to get out, had to get Eerie out. But how? Day 30. They had hardly healed Izuku today. He could feel each cut throb as he was carried back to his room. If he kept his eyes shut, if he ignored the heavy scent of blood and cleaner in the air, the hunger pangs in his stomach, maybe he had been kidnapped, or maybe he was 5 and being carried to his room by his mother. Maybe he had pretended to be asleep on the couch so he wouldn't have to walk. After the other kids had got so mean, and Kachan had got even meaner, his mom was all Izuku had. He sunk into the embrace, the warmth, even if he'd be stuck on the cold tile floor in only a moment. God, you're just a kid. You and Eri both. Someone whispered, voice wobbly as they spoke. I'm sorry, Yahoo. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Please, please forgive me. The teen barely opened his eyes. The snake woman, Niyako, had practically doubled over. She clutched him close, crying into his hood. The woman helped torture him, brought him straight to overhaul. It's okay, he mumbled, just barely getting his vocal cords to work. For some reason, it only made her cry harder. Day 35. The vigilante stared suspiciously in front of him. His door was open. Wide open. It was probably a trap. Izuku staggered forward as fast as he could, weaving through the oddly desolate hallways. Where was everyone? He forced his exhausted limbs past the doorway, past the bloody metal chairs. They hadn't healed him last session, leaving him down 3 fingers and with a whole lot of cuts. So Izuku went straight to the fishy-looking briefcase and gun. Sure enough, it had only 8 red bullets. And, to his luck, there was a wallet in the drawer below it. Of course, the bullets being more important. These were the finished product, the real deal. They had to be. He couldn't let Overhaul get these. He shakily shoved the gun into the tattered pocket of his pants, right next to his flashlight. The weight rubbed uncomfortably against a deeper cut, but it would have to work. What could he do about the bullets? Footsteps. Izuku hid behind the chair, ignoring the nausea that rolled in his stomach, even going near the thing. He knew the man that left, one that frequently dissected Izuku and helped drain Eri. He had to get to Eri. After a moment of waiting, just to be safe, the vigilante moved sluggishly forward, bolts of pain shooting up his legs and arms and everywhere, actually. He blinked hard. Now wasn't the time. Focus. Focus. Damn it! 8 bullets jingled in his pocket as he walked, identical to the fakes he'd dug from a failed batch and placed in the briefcase. They really shouldn't keep all of that in one room. Maybe his luck was just turning around? Logically, they'd probably set them there for easy access, but it was a nice thought. He snorted to himself and trekked forward despite the fatigue and proceeded to fall. He cursed, desperately attempting to regain purchase on the steep hill of rubble. It didn't work. He was in the middle of some blonde guy's fight with Overhaul now? Maybe not the middle, but with how the plague doctor wannabe was moving the ground, he might as well have been in this center. The other guy looked exhausted, a little rattled, and a lot beaten up. There was a spike of rubble buried into his side. Behind his was a red cape with Eerie. There she was, crying but without a scratch on her. Overhaul's sole focus was foolishly still on the hero and the small girl. Izuku removed the firearm from his pocket, loading one of the 8 bullets. He flicked the safety off, like he'd seen criminals do hundreds of times before. Slowly, both hands wrapped around the handle, using the remaining finger of his left hand to rest against the trigger. He aimed for Overhaul's head and fired. He saw the moment the noise registered in everyone's brain. The blonde's eyes widened. Eerie gasped. Overhaul desperately attempted to move, doing too little too late. The bullet went straight into the Shia Haikai leader's head, so close enough to his head. He looked down at his stomach, terrified.
"That's for Eerie, you fucking asshole!"
Izuku yelled, shoving the gun back into his pocket. His knees buckled slightly, and he gripped the rubble next to him to keep from falling. "No, no, no," Overhaul muttered, before looking back up with crazed yellow eyes. Thankfully, he was interrupted by a fist to his face, courtesy of the blonde hero. The brawl was back on. Izuku didn't really care. He walked forward, holding out a hand. "Come on, Eri. We gotta go." Izuku slipped another bit of his spicy McCrispy under his mask, smiling softly as Eerie munched on the apple slices of her Happy Meal and played with the plastic Jijo toy she'd got. Izuku was a little jealous. The workers looked mildly concerned, but honestly, McDonald's was probably the most accepting place aside from Walmart to be looking like this. Plus, the generous tip helped. "You like it?" Yes, Mr. Yahoo? Good." Izuku sighed internally. He'd miss Eerie a lot, but she couldn't stay with him. "They're the good guys, okay, Eerie?" Izuku said softly, gently sitting the girl down in the alleyway. "I want you to run up to that guy there. You see him? The hobo one." The white-haired girl gave a small giggle. "Yes, I see him, Mr. Yahoo. He's really nice. He'll take care of you." But why don't you come? You're hurt too." "Remember how I said some heroes don't like me? So I have to keep who I am a secret." The girl nodded. "That's why. But I'll be okay. I'm a big boy." Will I ever see you again?" Eri asked through tears, hands balling into her ragged dress. Izuku didn't know what to say. Would she see him again? He gave her one last tight hug instead of an answer, despite the way his injuries throbbed in protest. "Bye, Eerie." "Bye, Mr. Yahoo. I'll see you later." "Yeah, see See you later. Izuku stood up from his crouch and slunk away. Day 1. Izuku stared at himself in the Walmart mirror, gently bringing his thoroughly bandaged left hand to carefully trace the scab on his cheek. He had lost 3 fingers and left with more scars than he could count, not to mention the trauma-infused nightmares sure to come. So why did the chunk of flesh on his cheekbone missing make him want to scream, to sink to the floor sobbing? His freckles were gone. He had already lost the chubbiness of his cheeks, the brightness of his eyes, the green of his hair, and now the freckles on his left cheek. Izuku looked less and less like his mother each day. He had to stop before he cried in the middle of Walmart. The teen turned from the mirror and grabbed his purchased items. A new baseball bat and a red hoodie, practically identical to his current one, aside from the rips and patches, of course. He wasn't going to be able to actually patrol for another while. But he did have some apologies to make. All it took was getting kidnapped for like a month to knock some sense into his head. Izuku Midoriya needed others, and hopefully they needed him back. That is the end of chapter 59 of So Keep On Going With Your Silly Dream by Piter on AO3. If you liked this, please go support the original author, link in the description below. Hope you have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, kittens!